previously operated under this form, this format, many years ago, completely different staff and everything. The committee of the whole session was always a public meeting because we do meet as an entire board, so we have to be open to the public for sunshine, unless we specifically only meet as committees.
Correct.
Which I think is going to be difficult. So it is a public meeting, but the difference was we don't conduct any business at that meeting. We don't vote on budgets or take any kind of votes or anything. It's more an informational meeting. But I believe it has to be open to the public. If we get together at any time during that meeting and we talk with more than 4 people,
Correct.
It has to be a public meeting.
Correct. That's absolutely correct, Mr. Scarnio. We have 3 members on each of the committees for that very reason. So the members will be split up. They will not meet as a full board because you're absolutely right. If we were to meet as this full board and discuss, so in other words, after we have our committee meetings, we will not be sitting down together and discussing anything because that would be a quorum of the board and that is not permitted.
Ms. Plexus, if I may, and kind of drawing on the information Mr. Scarnio shared and the concern of transparency. So the committee of the whole can meet and vote with the information of a committee that has met. So I'm wondering if, and maybe this is something that we will discuss at the next session and decide the pros and cons, but I'm confused as to why we can't have committees, and the committees meet sometime before executive session. For example, as in the past year, I was on the Mine Hill Committee, we met at sometimes before executive session, had executive session, and we would make recommendations to the full board, and the full board would take action, but we still had those 2 public committees of the whole and regular session. Now, that may not be the way that this board will continue to work, but I would like to discuss what the pros and cons are, especially given Mr. Scarnio's experience of having worked under both systems. I don't know if he'd be willing to share what the pros and cons were in his experience.
What I think we
I'd like to tag on. I agree with everything Carol said, so I would like to hear experiences under that. I have worked in districts that have used that, and it leads to some logistical problems because the board is only acting at 1 meeting. That means that business has to be done at that 1 meeting, or you wait another calendar month for any decisions to be made, and that could provide some logistical difficulties for staff members. So I too would like to hear pros and cons.
So let us do this for the next meeting, our regular meeting. We'll have our regular meeting, and as part of the agenda, we will have a more full opportunity to discuss this and discuss the pros and cons and some of the things that, some of the experiences the board members have had previously to this.
I will add on, that is one of the reasons why we always had it as a public meeting. Because if a situation did arise that required us to vote on something, we had a regular meeting. If we don't have a meeting open to the public, if an emergency came up and we needed to vote, we'd have to go in and advertise and convene a special meeting. So this gave us the flexibility.
I would hate to make the public come out, though, if there's not going to be any business that night, right? To announce a meeting when there may not be, it would just be 5 committee meetings or something like that. So
those are
we
the
would
very
talk about
things.
it.
But we would know that. We would know if there's something that we're going to decide on or not, right, ahead of time, because we prepare a draft and agenda, and we do know all of that, correct?
I think it's an issue that we've brought up that I think you all need to give some thought to and come to the next meeting prepared to discuss it more fully. It was just something that Mr. Becker and I had discussed in our session when we were preparing the agenda. It was just a thought we had, and we said, okay, well, let's try this out. The committees will remain the same. I'm also trying to be sensitive to the amount of time that board members are going to have to go out in terms of both committee meetings and regular board meetings, but I think it's something to think about, and we will put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
One more question. Are there anybody aware of any resources where I can Google it, but are there any known resources where...
Sure, there's actually, New Jersey School Boards Association has a wonderful, and Krista, I may actually have a copy of it at home, that has, that's one of their folders that talks about the committee system and how you can operate it. But New Jersey School Boards Association does have a publication regarding the committee system. Yes, and then we decide the next, correct. Okay, so I hope you all understood what this discussion was about. You know, we want to be as open as possible with the public. This was something that we had, Mr. Becker and I had discussed. I brought it up before the board tonight. We clearly need more discussion about it. The board needs to think about it more. So our next meeting will be a regular meeting of the whole, as we've always had, and we'll have a further discussion of the pros and cons of changing, or not changing. Thank you very much. Okay. That leads us to the next public comment section. And we love to hear from the community. We want to know your thoughts. We want to know how you think we're doing and your questions. And so at this time, I'd like to open the floor to the public, to any comments that you may have on non-agenda items. Please state your name and your address.
Good evening, Susan Shower, 346 West Clinton Street in Dover. Good evening, everyone. I have one thing first that I'd like to just state that I think was crucial, and it's very important, especially for those who in the future may want to bring children to the meeting. I'm wondering if Mr. Gonzalez, just out of respect for the audience here and for those attending an open meeting, if there is going to become another time when the meeting is being live streamed on social media, if that could just be announced prior to, because if there are minor children in the audience that their parents may not be aware that it's being live streamed on social media, that may be an issue. And I think that's just a courtesy, just to let everyone know. I know it's been in practice for over a year now that Your Voice has been recording it and then putting it on YouTube on social media, but the last meeting was actually live streamed, and none of us here were aware that it was being live streamed until we got home. So that's number one. Number two, also at the last meeting, which again was your first meeting, and again, congratulations everyone. You had said during the public comment section that you were not a hard, steady believer in just holding to the 3 minutes, that if someone needed to speak a little bit longer, you were willing to let that go, and that's great. We have done that in the past also. And I know that the president, it is at the president's leisure to change things, but there was no communication with the rest of the board, and that actually is part of the board's bylaws on how to conduct the meeting, which become part of the policy.
Correct.
Changing also the committee setup, allowing committee members to elect a chairman, also might have something to do with your bylaws also. So some of the items that you are looking to change, you might have to go in and also change your policy. So just be aware of that. I know you have some new members that are going to be on the policy committee, and they may not be aware of that.
Although I recognize that usually we don't have a back and forth discourse, and generally this is just a time for public comment. But one of the things that I did check was the policy before I extended the 3 minutes, and it said, you know, the language within the policy was may hold to 3 minutes, not
As I said,
shall
yes, that
hold
is
to
at the
3 minutes.
president's
So I'm being careful in terms of the policies to make sure that we're following the current policies.
Again, I
so
just
that you know.
mentioned it just to make
But
sure
thank
that.
you. Thank you. No, that's fine.
Thank you.
Yes, sir?
Okay. I got props this time. All right, so good evening. I'm John Caniglio, 509 Mount Hope Avenue in Dover. I'm a 5th grade teacher in North Dover Elementary, and I'm also the president of the Dover Education Association. So being that January is Board of Education Appreciation Month, I would like to start by presenting these posters that were made to you. So they were signed by the students of the elementary schools, and then there's some other cards and such that I believe were being delivered to the central office, if not today, then in the coming days. So we appreciate,
Thank
your time and effort and everything that you do, so thank you very much. Secondly, I would like to let everyone know that the DEA recently received an approval for 2 events that we will be taking place in the spring. We'll be sponsoring the Optical Academy for the 2nd straight year, and we will be hosting our first literacy night for the families and students of Dover. The dates of the events are still being finalized, but as soon as we receive confirmation, I'll pass along the information to this board and the community and our teachers. Last year, at our initial Optical Academy event, it was a smashing success. We had over 100 members of the Dover community come to get eyeglasses and eye exams at an extremely discounted price. Many of the Dover staff members that you see here tonight were also there as well. We're there as well, yeah. All of our teachers in the district are looking forward to this fantastic community event. Optical Academy has run their program in over 4,500 schools and has visited over 550 towns and cities. I would also like to take this time to extend an invitation for this event to all of our board members and all of our administration as well. So the event will most likely be held in May. So like I said earlier, once the date is finalized, we'll be sure to get the word out to everyone, okay, via email or at the meeting. In addition, in regards to some old business, at the last meeting, I neglected to mention that the teachers of the Dover Education Association have recently partnered with the Morris County Council of Education's Associations, the MCCEA, and we donated $100, which was matched by the MCCEA, so $200 altogether, to the Interfaith Food Pantry, so that members of the food pantry had a hot meal to eat on Thanksgiving. With our donation and the donation of other teachers associations around Morris County, the pantry was able to purchase enough food to feed over 120 families. The teachers of this district are always proud and willing to help our community in any way that we can. Thank you all very much for your time this evening, and enjoy the rest of your night and drive home safely. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank the students. That is just absolutely fabulous and really just, it's great. Thank
Well
you
done. Thank
very,
you.
very much.
We did receive stuff too, it's in our meeting room.
Oh, good.
Yes,
Good.
thank you very
Okay.
much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other public comments? No? There being no further public
Ms. Alessis, if I may?
comments?
No public comment, a question.
Public comment is closed. Yes, Ms. Ruiz.
Thank you, Ms. Pelestis. In light of Ms. Shower's excellent point about video, we have had members of the community videotape our board meetings for some time, at the very least a year, if not longer, maybe sporadically, but certainly that has been done. And I know that, for example, Denville School Board pays $100 for their meeting to be officially videotaped. I recently visited the school board in West Orange, and they videotape their meetings. And I wonder if we as a board discuss the possibility of videotaping our meetings ourselves formally, we could avoid some of these pitfalls of having folks be filmed or live streamed that maybe did not expect to or did not even want to. That way, the filming could be just of the board and not of the public, or whatever the board would discuss. Maybe that discussion could be added to the agenda for the next meeting as well?
Good committee.
Sure.
That would be a good committee, but good committee discussion.
Thank you.
And Ms. Plessis, if I may, what committee might be tasked with such a discussion?
Community relations. Anything else?
Yes, I think.
You have something.
I do.
You do, Mr. Becker.
Within
Is it a
15
surprise?
Yeah, it is. Within 15 minutes of the close of this meeting, Ms. Schoonmaker will hit the button and we'll have a delayed opening tomorrow. So the first word.
That's good to know.
It's always good to know that. Oh,
I second that.
One time won't be unanimous, John.
Okay.
thank you so much, and thank you all for coming out tonight. It's really appreciated. Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you all.